In Pit Lane, proudly brought to you by Online Invent, websites, digital marketing and custom software.
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane here on Channel 31, and if you might be watching on demand on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Well, it all started today down at Mount Panorama, the Bathurst 1000, and tonight on the program we're going to be previewing the great race, or the greatish race, as is it still a great race? I think some people will find out a bit more about that a little bit later on. At the moment it's just Doc and I tonight. We're flying, well, not solo, we're just it's a two-hander tonight because everybody who's anybody is up at Bathurst, which probably says something about why we're here. But also, we're lucky because joining us here a little bit later on in the program, we're going to be joined for some live music by Melbourne band Kudos. Don't go away because they're going to be worth watching at the end of the show. They're going to play us out at the end of the show. Doc, good to see you once again.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me along for the biplane tonight. We're just the old Tiger Moth with a couple of wings on it. But yeah, it is. I think it's still one of the greatest. I mean, that and the Bathurst 12-hour. Everyone, it depends on what your genre is.
Well, we'll find out. We'll have a bit of a chat about that a little bit later on. By the way, in the background tonight, as you can see behind me and behind Doc, we've got footage from, or photos from, the MiniGP. And if you're wondering what the MiniGP is all about, you're going to find out in just a moment, because that is part of the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. A second place finish to Jack Miller at the Thai Grand Prix last weekend. Miller came from 7th on the grid and once again showed his class in difficult conditions. Miller stormed through the field to take the lead early before being passed later by eventual winner Miguel Oliveira on his KTM. Remarkably, Miller is now actually back in contention for the title, sitting just 40 points behind leader Fabio Quartararo as he heads into his home race at Phillip Island next weekend. But first of all, he's got to take some time out to do something else pretty important. He's getting married. And all of us here at In Pit Lane wish Jack and Ruby all the best for their future on and off the track.
Karting is well established as the first step on the ladder for any potential motorsport driving career. Although almost every major F1 and supercar star of the last decade or more has begun their career in karts. Now, those on two wheels are also getting a similar opportunity. It's called MiniGP, and the final round was held in Melbourne last weekend.
The Oakleigh Go-Kart Club circuit in Clayton was the site of the final round of the MiniGP series. The series is designed as a training ground and talent search program and attracted entrants from all over Australia, including this young rider all the way from Queensland.
My name's Jake Page and I ride at Oakleigh GP 160cc. I've been riding for 4 years on dirt track and 2 years road. The frame was made in Italy. The engine and chassis is made in China. I got a speed angle, which is a lap timer where you can see how fast or...
And you got tyre warmers on as well too, a bit of technology there.
Yeah, they warm up your tyres.
The event is run by Melbourne-based company Oakleigh and has been backed by Motorcycling Australia and people like Australian Superbike star Wayne Maxwell.
Yeah, look, MiniGP is an initiative that started last year with Dorna and the FIM. Obviously, they're seeing a lot of European talent in MotoGP, so they wanted to make it a worldwide level playing field to try to bring talent from around the world to put through one of their pathways like Red Bull Rookies or Asia Talent Cup. So they started FIM MiniGP, which is currently on a 160 four-stroke bike for kids that are 10 to 14. The kids normally race dirt bikes and they get of age where they can race a road bike. But we sort of, not all kids want to ride dirt bikes, so we lose some of the talent to other sports. So, you know, maybe the best motorbike rider's never actually ridden a motorbike, he's done another sport. So it's trying to capture them at an age where they can get a passion for it like I have and we all have for motorsport and make the most of it.
The dirt track to road racing pathway has often been seen as a strength of Australian riders. So does a series like MiniGP take away any of that advantage?
No, definitely not. A lot of the top guys now still come from dirt track. In Europe, it's not massively, but I think there's enough coaching around now and enough skills that it wasn't different. This is, we didn't have the opportunity to do this when we were younger, but now it is here. And if you can go to Europe and match it with any of those guys, I think it's good. Yeah, well, look, it's obviously we take the top 2 from our championship this year to Spain to the world final. So 16 other countries bring 2, so 34 kids at the world final. And it's going to really see where we're at on a world stage. And hopefully that can grow each year, and we can get someone that hopefully one day that came through our program that's in MotoGP.
Although clearly designed with the kids in mind, more mature riders aren't forgotten though. There's actually a veterans class, and it's proving very, very popular.
The vets class is one of the biggest classes. We all become so time poor as we get older. We've got money, but not enough to maybe waste a whole day at Phillip Island.
You've got money.
Yeah. But it's a great outlet for the kids to get it, the adults to get out and get a thrill without risking as much as you would on a big circuit.
Another Queensland rider, Harrison Watts, came out on top for the weekend and in the championship, despite not starting in race 2, when his bike was pushed from the grid, leaving Terran Fleming to take the victory. But 2 wins on Sunday was enough to give Watts this year's championship and a ticket to Spain and a possible MotoGP future.
Roll up, ladies and gentlemen. The circus has come to town. There's no elephants, perhaps a few young lions, but plenty of clowns. Yes, it's that time of the year again. It's Bathurst. Defending champion Chaz Mostert returns to defend his title alongside a new co-driver in Fabian Coulthard. Mostert's 2021 co-driver Lee Holdsworth has of course switched teams and brands from Commodore to Mustang and will drive alongside the man who'll actually replace him in 2023, New Zealand driver Matt Payne. Pre-race favourite Shane van Gisbergen warmed up for the event by taking 3rd place in class in his World Rally Championship debut. The Rally of New Zealand was won outright by Kaylee Rovanpera, who rewrote the record books to become the youngest ever World Rally champion at only 22. It should be good training for the race with 3 days of heavy rain expected.
In other supercar news, Blanchard Racing Team has dominated the signing of Todd Hazelwood, has confirmed the signing of Todd Hazelwood for the 2023 championship. Hazelwood replaced Tim Slade at the team. Slade is expected to sign with Premier Racing to replace either Chris Pither or James Golding, take your pick. And this is the livery that was last week's guest on the In-Pit Lane show. Jalen Rowbotham will be racing with at Bathurst. Caltex has taken on a major backing of Matt Charter Racing, holding under the Caltex Young Stars banner.
And it's good to see that livery back again as well. Now, we'll have more news coming up a little bit later on in the program, including a surprise win in Formula 1, NASCAR at Talladega, and another big weekend for young Melbourne driver Hugh Barter. But when In Pit Lane returns, yes, we're talking about Bathurst. You're watching In Pit Lane, free to air right across Melbourne and Geelong on C31 and on demand on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Get the phone ringing for your business with website development and SEO services from Online Invent. Visit onlineinvent.com.au.
Yes, and thank you once again to our sponsor, Online Invent. If Roy's watching us this week, he's doing it from Bali. He's
lucky little devil.
Yes, I know. So a welcome break there. But once again, thank you to Roy and everyone at Online Invent for their support of In Pit Lane. It is really very necessary every week. I mean, this thing, like as I said, every week it does cost money. It costs a lot of money comes out of our pockets. Everybody who comes in here, we're all paying something to bring this program to you. That's the nature of community television.
Blood, sweat and tears sometimes.
Lots of, well, certainly plenty of blood, probably tonight, but anyway, the less said about that.
It's all on your shirt too.
Don't want to be saying anything that might get me in trouble and could be used in court against me. So, so anyway, that's we thank Online Invent for their support of In Pit Lane for RMITV and also Channel 31 Melbourne. Remember, if you want to get a website done or do any marketing online, contact Online Invent. Welcome back back to In Pit Lane. Well, of course, coming up this weekend is Bathurst. Of course, if you're watching on Channel 31, we've already had the first day of practice, and if all goes according to plan, it was probably, well, we don't know what the conditions are like, but I'm sort of, betting that at some stage the rain has come down. But either way, Bathurst is, it's one of those, the race that slows down a nation, at least. It's one of the iconic sporting events. It's one of the motorsport events, along with the Australian Grand Prix, I suppose, that, the casual people, casual fans of the sport will watch once a year. So, they're like the Melbourne Cup of real horsepower. But that's coming up this weekend. So I thought this weekend we'd have a bit of a chat about it. And Doc, I mean, the Bathurst, you excited for the weekend?
I used to be one of those youngsters that sat in the beanbag from 6 o'clock in the morning, watch all the pre-race stuff and all the memorabilia and all the highlights, and then you just nestle in with your favourite Cocoa Pops or Rice Bubbles at 10 o'clock and settle in with your favourite soft drink for days. So yeah, it was mad back in the day when we didn't have a working career. But did you just say Betty's rain's going to come hard down on them all or something like that?
No, well, I'm betting that
is
it
that
does
the Queensland
rain,
tropical rain?
Yeah, I don't know about Betty's rain, but Betty will certainly be there, and I know she's looking forward.
What about yourself? What's your preparation been over the decades for the Bathurst?
I was just thinking today, in fact, my earliest memories of Bathurst was, and I'm going right back, is every Thursday night payday, my dad would come home and he'd always buy me something to read. And it was usually like a comic book or something like that. One year he came home with the program for, I think it was the 1972 Hardy Ferodo 500.
From a news agency?
From the news agency.
They still exist?
Yes, back in the day when we had news agencies. And I remember they had the thing where you fill in and you do the lap chart and all the rest of it. I remember doing that, and I remember watching Peter Brock in the, I think it was probably the LJXU1.
Toronto,
sort of running around. So that was one of my earliest memories. Because as you say, you used to get up at some ridiculous hour of the morning because the cars are so much faster now. It's starting much later, although this year they have moved the race back a little bit earlier. So that's going to be one of that's good.
And these days it's more of a sprint. I think the teams have had to evolve over the last 10, 15 years. If you don't come out of the blocks, doesn't mean you have to go gun-ho right from the start, but if you're not on the pace right from the first lap and in a holding position, and don't bin it in the first lap, you can't throw it, but if you don't be on the pace and straight at the start, you're going to be behind, because look how close the finishes have been in the last few years at different times. Look at the Bottle Commodore with Davey Reynolds and Jamie Whincup. I think that was the closest margin ever between the two cars going on the line back in 2014, wasn't it, or something like that, I think?
Yeah, I think so. That's the thing about the supercars. I mean, I miss the categories, the classes. I mean, I think that's the thing that it does miss nowadays. However, you've got to say, in terms of closeness, yeah, it is a sprint race, and I think that's one of the things that sort of from my point of view actually sort of lessens the event as a real special event, because now it is just it is another round of the championship. It's not sort of a standalone thing. You'd have in the old days they'd finish the touring car championship and then you'd hear the rumours about the special things that they were doing for Bathurst, the special cars, the homologation specials, something bizarre that Alan Moffat was doing in America, something very secret you couldn't talk about.
Oh, and they come back with all these little pocket
all sorts
of tricks and
you don't get that. You don't get that anymore. Now it's just another. What makes it different this year is, and we had, of course, Jalen Robotham on last week.
So we're talking over cordial and cola earlier. This is the 4-dash splash that they needed.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the wildcard entries in. We saw also Matt Charter racing, and good to see Caltex getting behind some young guys. And Jalen will become the youngest driver at Bathurst. So we talked to him last week, and I think he was, 19?
He's 19, very quick. And I said to him when we were leaving last week, if he keeps it off the wall, he can steer and throw a stick.
The interesting thing is, I mean, we mentioned the weather. I mean, certainly as we record this program, the long-term forecast for the whole of the weekend is that it is going to be regular bouts of rain, and on some occasions pretty heavy rain. So that's got to play into the hands of the guy who's been running around in the mud, playing in the mud all weekend, and that's Shane Van Gisbergen.
Don't count Chaz out. Chaz is very good in the wet as well, though, too. He's very good with floaties. So yeah, Chaz, I reckon those are to be the front runners runners. I mean, they're going to be in the top 10 anyway, barring mechanical failures.
I'd also say if it was really, really wet, and another web-footed Kiwi is Andre Heimgardner.
Yes.
Andre is very, as shown in the past, that he's very good in the wet as well. So I wouldn't rule him out. And this is the thing. I mean, you really obviously Shane van Gisbergen is the red hot favourite. You know, Shane and Garth. I mean, you've got the experience of Garth Tander in there as well. So he's probably going to do the right things, and he's still very
He'll just
quick.
cut lap after lap after lap. He's Mr. Consistent that Garth GT can be.
Yeah, so you've got him involved. Jamie Whincup making a comeback of sorts. He's getting behind the wheel. He's putting the management sort of side of Triple Eight Racing aside and passing it off to someone else for this weekend, so he can get back behind the wheel. We're also seeing back behind the wheel the man responsible for the lap of the gods. Do you remember the lap of the gods with Greg Murphy?
The Kmart Commodore. We're all still in awe of that. I actually he did some Red Bull Sandman stuff in a twin turbo sixer a few years ago. He made that thing scream like it was a V8, and that got so much attention that weekend. Unfortunately, they've put it to the side for the time being. But yeah, Murph lap of the gods. He just said everything just went perfectly for the whole lap. It's just everything fell into place, and that's what it takes sometimes.
The interesting thing is that Murph has already said that he's finding the new generation or the current generation of supercars to be very hard to come to grips with. That it's a very different experience from the cars that he drove. And not that long ago. It wasn't that long ago that he was driving, but it was certainly a moment that everyone forget. I remember at the time, I watched it on the television, and my friend Melissa was up there at the time, and like as soon as he finished, the phone rang, and it was just, oh my God, did you just see that? It was just. It was one of those moments that everyone remembers.
Well, that's what's going to be the $1 million question is, are these Gen 3 cars going to be as quick as the Gen 2 cars they're running this year with all the adaptations and modifications and just the Camaro Mustangs?
And speaking of the Gen 3 car, it was announced on Tuesday that Dick Johnson, the legend Dick Johnson, is going to get behind the wheel of the new Mustang, Mustang shape, and he's going to give the Gen 3 car a bit of a spin.
Big congratulations. I'm glad you brought out Dick, because there's a lovely segue again as well.
I wish you hadn't put it in that respect, but anyway.
3,000 races. Dick Johnson Racing has got the pinnacle. They've got the highest amount of races that have ever been in the supercars back going through the Australian Touring Car Championship.
Okay, well, when we come back, I'll get your picks. But when we do come back, we're going to be joined in the studio by Melbourne band Kudos. You're watching In Pit Lane here on Channel 31. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Okay, can we get if the guys would like to come in and get set up for music? You're going to get so Kudos
is. You want a fan while they're setting up?
Yes, you said you've got something. You've had strange.
I've been stalked on In Pit Lane this week. So
that's right. So you're the one.
Yeah, they've stalked me. Usually you get them all, but I reckon I've topped this off this week. This is something that's been sent in by someone from. I'd like to think it was an American accent, but a bit of a worry. I won't read out her full name because it looks could be legit. Hello.
Well, that's a good start.
Yeah. You haven't. Finish is even better. So for breaking into your privacy. So with all the Optus and Telstra stuff that's been going on this week, I thought this was just relevant, to be perfectly honest. And this is, by the way, I have this as In Pit Lane. This is part of my profile on Facebook. I came across your page by mistake. And found
that's how most people come across In Pit Lane.
I'll let you get the one-liners. I found your picture...
Certainly how I ended up here.
By the way, you and I aren't in this one. I found your picture so attractive. I'm very aware that you don't know me, and I don't know you, so I'm glad we got that out of the way, for starters. We do meet and make friends day by day, and it only takes a second to meet someone new and a few conversations to know the person. That's just lovely, just takes you away. It's that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Mind you, it's In Pit Lane, by the way. 1,000 words. Did you know In Pit Lane says 1,000 words? But when I saw yours,
this letter's 1,000 words.
I've got to rephrase it because some of the English is not correct here, so I've got to actually read it. Was more than words could explain. I truly believe meeting you is never by chance or mistake, but God, I know you may feel. And then, sorry, that was full stop. Unimportant or insecure at the moment, but knows that you are a good, kind, handsome man. I don't know where
there you go. You're a good, kind, handsome man. I tell you what, good, kind, handsome man, what we got to do now is if you go over onto camera 4 and set up for the band, I will introduce the band and then I'll join you on camera 5.
I thought that was Lucky Man, the verb. But
no,
anyway, we would really appreciate if you could send me a request or give me a text on Messenger.
I'd really appreciate it if we could hear from Kudos.
Thank you.
So there you go. So okay, so Doc, head across, grab a camera.
True. stalking text.
There you go. So Doc's going to go up and grab a camera. I'm going to grab a camera. We're going to have all sorts of cameras for this week. Now, Kudos is our band tonight. If you want to find out, I'll give you more details about them later on. But they're on Instagram at Kudos Music. They're also on YouTube at Kudos Music. And right now for a bonus track here on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel and In Pit Lane Live behind the scenes on the Facebook page. This is Kudos and this is Flow. Kudos.
1, 2, 3, go! Winding up the corners of my mind, you got your purple velvet lipstick every night. Candy flavored lingerie so tight, and I just wanna make you feel alright. Oh. Well, don't tell me that you want me, don't tell me that you need me now, 'cause I just wanna be a baby. The night with the man, it tears me down. You warm me up, wearing out, you make it work with that, I've got no doubt. So you got me flow, flow. You got me flow, 'cause I still got a lot of love for you, baby. I do your breakfast in the morning, cherry flavored passion through the ceiling, and no love in you can't keep us together. I just wanna make you feel so high. Well, baby, tell me that you want me, baby, tell me that you need me now. Girl, you know you drive me crazy, you got that something I just can't go around. I'm warming up to you, making out with you, love so strong, it must be true. Oh, it's true. So you got me flow, flow. You got me flow, 'cause I still got a lot of love for you, baby. Bring it down. And there's nothing left to say as we dance the night away to the songs we used to play. No, there's nothing left to say, but you take my pain away. Yeah. So you got me flow, flow. You got me flow, 'cause I've still got a lot of love for you, baby. Flow. Na, 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 na. 'Cause I've still got a lot of love for you, baby.
Welcome back to In Pit Lane on Channel 31. Well, it has been, as usual, another big weekend of motorsport around the world. Let's find out just some of what's been happening. This is the In Pit Lane International Wrap.
A surprise win on the streets of Singapore as Sergio Perez led all the way to take the win and denied teammate Max Verstappen any chance of wrapping up this year's title early. On a drying track, Perez jumped into an early lead and was never under any real threat, leading home the Ferrari pair of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. It was a much better race for Daniel Ricciardo, who again struggled in qualifying, but came on strong in the race to move from 16th all the way to 5th behind teammate Lando Norris. It was a tough race for both Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, with both drivers making mistakes that cost them valuable places in the race. Verstappen was eventually 7th, while Hamilton finished 9th. It was another big weekend for Melbourne driver Hugh Barter in the latest round of the Spanish Formula 4 Championships. But it was one that ultimately ended in disappointment after all 6 of his team's Campos racing cars were disqualified from the first 2 races. Campos mechanics added their own metal grills to the car side pods to prevent debris from getting in, but this was deemed an illegal modification. Barter had won all 3 races at Navarra for Campos and started the first 2 from pole. Despite the disqualification, which Campos has appealed, and Barter's win in race 3, Barter's teammate Nikola Solov has wrapped up the series with 1 round remaining. 4-time and defending Top Fuel champion Steve Torrens is back in the title hunt, powering to his 2nd straight win at the 11th annual NHRA Midwest Nationals. Torrens beat Josh Hart in the final of Top Fuel and now trails Justin Ashley by just 14 points with 3 races remaining. In a thrilling funny car final, points leader Robert Hyde took down defending champion Ron Capps on a hole shot to give Hyde a 46-point lead over Capps at the halfway mark of the countdown to the championship. Erica Endez now has the most win at St Louis Raceway of any driver in NHRA history, claiming her 6th win and 4th in a row by knocking off a red-lighting Dallas Glenn in the Pro Stock final. Matt Smith finished off an almost perfect weekend in Pro Stock motorcycle, moving back into the points lead after a win against Jerry Savoy in the championship round. A helpful push along by fellow Chevy driver Eric Jones has helped Chase Elliott to victory in the latest round of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at the famous Talladega Super Speedway. After a late race caution for a stalled car at the end of pit lane, Ryan Blaney led the field with 2 laps to go. But the push from Jones was enough to get Elliott past Blaney on the final lap, with him taking the win by less than half a second. Of course, it wouldn't be Talladega without the big one, and it happened early in the race, with this high-speed Dodgem car session taking out several cars from the race. A 1-2 for Honda in the latest round of the Super GT at the Autopolis circuit in Japan. The real racing pair of Nobuharu Matsushita and Kudos Sakakoshi won the penultimate round of the Super GT season to move up to 3rd in the standings following their first victory of the year. The Nissan pairing of Katsumasa Shio and Mitsunori Takaboshi will take a 2.5-point lead into the Motegi title decider next month over the fellow Nissan pair of Bertrand Baguette and Kazuki Hiramaini, who finished 2nd. And remember to join us live straight after In Pit Lane on Channel 31 on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel for our weekly after show, Full Course Yellow, for the latest breaking news and uncensored independent motorsport chat. Or you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify and Amazon.
And yes, I hope you will join us for Full Course Yellow. Now, coming up, as we said, Bathurst. Doc, very quickly, we're right out of time, but your pick for Bathurst this weekend.
Can't go past my mate, Davey Reynolds. I'm always going for you, mate. You've got to do it. Davey, it's another turn. Come on. Get it up there.
Davey Reynolds, yeah, I can't go past, especially if it's going to rain. I can't go past Shane Van Gisbergen and Garth Tander.
If it's wet, I'm going. If it's wet, I'm going Chaz. If it's wet, Chaz.
Okay, well, I think it is going to be wet, and I'm still going for Shane Van Gisbergen. So there you go. Okay, Doc. Now, I tell you what, we're going to lose you for a second because you're going to jump behind a camera.
I got lost a long time ago.
You do that, so you do that now, and because joining us tonight is our band Kudos, and they play all around Melbourne. And if you want to catch up on what they're doing around the place, you can go to their Instagram page, which is @Kudos Music. They've also got a YouTube channel, Kudos Music, as well. Then they're going to take us out tonight, and I think if you're going to listen to this, and I think you're going to want to catch them live when they perform around Melbourne. So until we see you next week for our preview of the Australian MotoGP at Phillip Island, have a good Bathurst weekend. Happy Bathurst, everyone. And this is Kudos, and take my hand. Good night.
Get the feeling that you're hurting, you can't stand the pain. Just take my hand, we can leave, we can run away. And baby, I know they made you feel like you were never worth the wait. But I swear to me, you're perfect, babe. And I just wanna feel you So baby, won't you take my hand? I'll be your man. I'll give you all of the love I have. Oh, won't you take my hand? I'll be your man tonight. I know your heart's been broken one too many times, and maybe you think that love is another asking lie, but I don't wanna leave you, just wanna love you, baby. So baby, won't you take